Something's a little different here. I'm trying to know what it is.
You know what? Can we get you guys to sit down and hang out with us for a bit?
If I get a beverage, I can do that.
Would you
I
like
got
some bourbon or
So
some
I got
wine?
Chianti.
I'll
Sure.
take a
And actually, I'm gonna put
You
you.
got a glass?
I'm gonna
I
put
do
you in the
not.
hot seat. Right
Well,
here.
we got-
Make you switch seats with
She said
him.
some so.
Come sit next to me, Chris. In
I-
the hot seat.
I gotta
In
go
the hot
arrest people. I
seat.
can.
You can pour yourself as much as you
win.
like.
Okay.
And which one was that? That one's used. Take a new one.
Cheers.
There you also.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, let me type your name in.
My name would be.
No, wow, this is
Your
really
name
good.
would be Mark Zug.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm looking to stare. I want to take her food, and I'm going to come back and listen.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, they might have to quiz you too. What's it like to live with me?
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be entertaining.
Yeah. It's not easy. No, it's easy. Are you kidding?
Do you want
It's
the
heaven.
M?
Of course. I can't live without the M. Nobody will know who I am.
Not
If you
Fischer.
take out the M, they will forget
Is there
who I am.
CH or SH?
CH. SCH.
Got it. So there's your M's.
Thank you.
We don't want it in that. I don't want it in that font, however.
No.
Because that font is illegible.
Where is it?
Right. Exactly. That font is illegible. Let's select the color. Let's make that color. Let's make it white. There we go.
Oh, Dave Palumbo would be a great addition to the.
I already,
Oh, okay. He's
I already had my time in the seat.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Still take it.
Yes,
Here
hang
you
out
go,
with us.
Theresa.
So here's what we're gonna do.
Oh, we beat them. Which ones are these?
All right. So I'm gonna switch this seat, and
Are those the truffle ones or are those these basil?
These are rosemary.
there might be a
The truffle
tax.
ones are in that
There
cup.
might be a tax.
There's a tax involved with this? Okay.
Someone is the
There's a
But the
price
thing
to be
is,
paid.
We can pull them up as we talk about them. That's the point.
Bourbon, what are we doing?
Yeah,
This way?
have a
This.
seat.
All right.
You want to hang?
I did. I have bourbon.
Okay,
ready.
good.
Does F come before G? Yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you. One of the things we wanted to talk about was you're doing all the is it cards. They're giving you a ton of those red blue cards.
I did a lot of them,
You
yes.
want a little splash or a big
And
splash?
let's see. You come after easily.
The medium splash.
There we go. This, by the way, is one of my favorite cards.
Really?
I'm just gonna leave
Attrition.
that right there. I'm gonna flip
There's
through
too
some of them
many
as we go.
photos out
Wow.
there of me, like, holding alcohol
So I
back.
use that in a ton of
But
black.
you're
cards.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? I'm just like, what? Oh my
Do you have
god.
all his cards represented here?
Close.
A ton
It's
of them,
close.
but not a
We
lot.
get close.
A lot of them are 4-ofs because they're things I use in
And then we go into Donato. So you got close. We got.
hand me the Donato
All right, hold on. Let's see. Gotta back it up.
Did I miss Donato?
No.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
Here we go, right there. But I mean, not.
that.
Listen, here's the thing, guys. Not that size matters. Okay, size really doesn't matter. But I just wanna.
Let me make sure I get both of you because
I just
I
wanna.
like your lovely face too.
I just wanna. Donato here, Scott here.
Yes.
So
God damn, that's pretty close.
you are
dude.
both inadequate when it comes to the cards that I got signed. Mr. Alexander has a
I
stuff.
know that doesn't count. That doesn't
There's probably
count.
multiples.
I had all my duels signed,
Nice.
thereby increasing the value by 50 bucks.
Nice.
I just
So yeah, tell us about this card. Like any interesting art direction? Do you remember it? Because it's a
No.
fucking old card.
Okay, I was about to say.
It's an old one, so we're talking about.
although
It's,
Oh, it's on the
so,
screen, so
Yeah,
you don't
so
need
this
to
is
see
what's
it.
going on the screen right now.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, attrition, man. I'm trying to remember. You know what it was? All the art direction was is that there's got to be a guy who's going to self-destruct
Okay.
and take out his enemy with him. Is the idea. So if you look, he's touching his chest, and the idea was he had a little button. Hit the
Okay.
button, and he blows up, and he's already starting to self-destruct. But only Elf in this corner is like, dude, this isn't right. Something's going on here. The other one's like, hey, what's up? So that's about the extent of it. I wish it was deeper than that, my friends. But really, a guy's about to blow up and take the bad guys with him.
What you got next? Anything in that stack you want to talk about next?
Oh my God, let's see. Attrition,
I'll hand you a pen to sign
attrition.
later.
Oh, that's a good one.
Diabolic servitude.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, nice.
Interesting run, right? Because, you got this meathead guy who's like doing the remote control. However, as many of you know, I believe the Chinese version, there's no zombie in it.
Yeah.
Because they were already kowtowing to the Chinese interests at that
They
point.
edited it
Exactly.
out.
They edited it out. So it's one of my few cards. But think about it. Now all you have is the meathead guy with the remote control and nobody in it controlling it. He's zoomed in on him and they photoshopped him out.
I'm just curious. Let me see if I can find the version. Let's see. View all printings. No, they're not
No,
showing us the
they're going to
change.
show you it. It's out there. I remember the first time, because they don't tell us that. Of
course
I remember the first time I signed one, and I was like,
Well, that's
that's
different.
different. What's going on here, man? I don't know what's going on.
What's up, Drew?
Oh, yeah.
Cool, man.
Now, I want to show you guys this one because this is, what's up, Drew?
Thank you, Dragon
Okay,
Jeff. And it's
okay,
because
alright.
it's not so crowded outside tonight.
All right. I'm going to show you this one because this is Theresa's favorite painting that I
Okay.
did.
Oh, I know exactly which one this is.
Tell me.
It's the Circle of Despair.
Wait a second. The look on your face tells me, is he being sarcastic?
No.
It
No.
is actually your favorite.
No, it's
I'm
my
being
least
sarcastic.
favorite of all the cards I did.
She rearranged that. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
She hates this with the core of her being. Well, for one thing, that's me sacrificing her. So
And it's pretty violent.
it's pretty violent. And let's
There's nothing. Oh, it's just
and let's be
nothing
honest,
about it.
it's a bad painting, guys. It's not good. It's not good. But you know, it's 1996. I'm still figuring things out. You know, that's the way it goes sometimes. But she won't. For the longest time, she wouldn't even look at it. Like, you know, she sees my art. She is an artist.
Wait,
She wouldn't even look
I
at
think.
it.
I
Was it at least out of your house?
Or I
we
burned it.
I think we might have burned it.
There is a
That's
chance.
how strongly I felt about my hatred of
You were
that
like, it
painting.
must be sacrificed now.
Yeah, I think it entered my dream state.
Well,
or
let me tell you
something.
that you read. There's a thing, a fear with artists. I don't know if you guys ever felt this, but as we progress, there's a hidden fear that if we see a piece of our old artwork, we're instantly going to revert back to that level, right? Like we feel like we're going to revert back to that crappiness.
never heard that.
Never that.
Never
Oh,
heard
I
that.
had this
Never
fear.
heard that.
Yeah.
No.
So
no,
I-
I see that as stepping stones, not the opposite. They
Oh,
don't drag
now
you
I
back, they
do.
let you move on.
Now I do, and I'll have certain ones that I keep because
Twisted-
they were a landmark
twisted
piece,
this
way. Yeah,
right?
sure,
But
sure.
back then they were so bad
Oh,
that
otherwise,
your
sorry,
paintings
we
must
wanna
have
get
been
both
better
of
than mine because
There
these
we
were
go.
so
No,
bad.
no, not at all,
That
but-
they had to be destroyed. So I had a bonfire and I burned a lot of artwork.
Oh well, I was working at it.
Just
Well, you
just
gotta understand, I was working at an art
was
store
awesome.
at the time for the discount, and I come home from work one day, and he's in the backyard with a fire pit, and the fire's going. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm burning artwork. What did you burn?
Burning
It doesn't
artwork.
matter. It just doesn't matter. So I still to this day don't really know what all he burned.
It was mostly weird stuff for like Cthulhu card games, and I mean it was crap, guys. It was
I
bad.
have binned artwork. I mean, I know at one point when I was in a long-term relationship and living with someone, and you know, it's one of those things where you have a bit of catharsis and you clear stuff out.
Yes.
And I did throw about 2 bin bags worth of artwork.
Yes, okay, so similar.
which was similar.
Not quite as aggressive.
Pavlik was telling a story just a couple of years ago how he literally burned, and he
Oh, I
posted
know
the
it.
video
Yeah, I
online of him
know.
burning a 50-gallon drum of his artwork.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, why?
No, I get it.
I don't know if it was around the same time, but many years ago when I first met Scott, a bunch of artist friends were together and we were all drawing one night, and some of the drawings were a little off color. And the next morning I woke up early and he had burned them all, and I just remember walking up and him standing by the like smoldering pile of ash.
Like he's standing there with a match.
These drawings were so bad and so depraved that if they got out,
Yeah, the state of the universe.
It
It was like
would have been-
you were doing that for everybody's benefit.
exactly, I was freeing the
Oh
world.
my god,
Of
you're
it.
a crazy
Now
artist.
I
I
know.
must like.
Well,
So anyway,
you
it
can.
might have got burned, but I'm not the only one. If you get Donato here,
He's committed to coming by.
all right. So just ask Donato about see if he recalls this. But
hand
there's a
that to you
certain
later.
story. There's a certain story about a samurai sword and some artwork involving him as well. So I'm not the only one who has destroyed and purged themselves of the old art. What else we got? Siobhan Worm, that was one of my big cards when it came out.
Yeah.
But I hated that plane shifting, to be honest with you, where there's the portal has to show up and a thing shows up through a thing. I didn't really love that.
How many cards? Like, was that a thing in that art direction?
Yes.
In that set, like it had to be coming out of a portal.
Exactly, because the idea was that something could shift through planes, so one thing could become another thing, as I understood it. It was something like that.
When you play something, you gotta pop something back to your hand.
Exactly. I can't quite remember how it all went down.
Maria Velasquez says hello.
Hello, people.
My.
So anything about Genju?
Wait for like
Genju of the
someone
Realm.
to call me out like my full name.
Get you of the realm. I don't know. Other than the fact that they left me alone, I love
Well, you
this
had
stuff.
you did
That
you
like,
did
you
do
have
a
to
couple
draw
of sketches though.
an Asian spirit. Like, what kind of direction do you get for
That
that?
was pretty much it. Though this one had to encompass all the colors. So obviously forest, mountains, blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah, and pretty much other than that, do whatever you want. But I reached that point with them, man, where they like When they had something weird, they were just like, we don't know what to do, give it to Scott. And then that's the way Time Stop happened. They didn't know what to do with it. There was no art direction on it at all. They just said, how the hell are we going to show stopping time? Give it to Fischer. He'll figure it out. And that's what we did.
So here you go.
Yeah.
So interesting. I have a question for you now. How did you paint this? Did you use a mirror? Or did you, paint both sides, or did you just paint one and flip it? Or
It's a physical painting, but all of it was planned, of course, on the computer. 180 flip, good to go. We're running it down.
Ralph was telling a story last night about the Vesuvian thing that he was like, yeah, okay, well, I sketched it out using the mirror, but then I painted it all longhand instead of like flipping it.
Oh yeah. No, that would have been the long way to do it for sure. That would have been great. That would have been.
Well, I did it.
Exactly. No, and that's absolutely
For the sake of the original. Right?
exactly.
Well, no, just because it seemed like, yes. I guess.
Yes.
Well, also, I hate painting digitally. If I can help it, I won't do it. You know, and I don't know. That's what I've always done that. So I just did what I normally do.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, I think part of that goes down. There was a point in my career where a good friend of mine, D. Alexander Gregory, D. Alexander, did a lot of cool stuff, Curse Scroll, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Doug's been my friend since college. We were roommates, and he was always straight up, to this day, he's straight up. And he basically said to me, he goes, Scott, here's the thing. You can paint like an MFer, really. You can paint really well, but your drawings suck. And you try to make up for it in the paint, and you can't. And that was the best thing anybody said to me. So from that point on, I spent way more time planning these things and figuring them out before I ever touched a brush. And ironically, I'm trying to go back the other way now. It's like, all right, I did all this planning for years and years and years. Now can I trust what's in here and try to do it again and see if I'm capable, you know? So
Tell us about the Is It stuff, the counterflux. So this is a staple spell. If you're playing red and blue in Commander,
Yeah.
you put it in the deck. Like, hey, I want that done, and I don't want anybody to fuck with me stopping that.
Yeah.
But you're getting a lot of red-blue stuff. Like, is it just because you can draw Is It well or Magic well, or what? Do you have any idea why they're giving you a bunch of red-blue shit?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. Like, because in the beginning I was the gross guy, right? I got like pox and malignant growth and just disgusting stuff all the time. So eventually, I guess I worked up to this, and I suppose they just wanted, if you were going to do an Is It, they wanted maybe you to do a few of them so that there was a consistency to it or something like that. But this piece in particular is rather fascinating because I'm obsessed with this thing, this notion of spiral staircases. So in my work, there are spirals upon spirals
It's not a
upon
Fibonacci
spirals.
sequence or anything.
There's no science to it. It's simply me just like, blah, and this is what happens. But
Can you do me a favor? Turn on the brightness, not light. He looks like he has a big white shiny head.
I actually,
Just the intensity. And
Tell me when to stop.
hey, you have definition now. Good.
Well, there you go.
there it is.
You have
there
a
it
forehead
is.
now.
There it is.
I was like, oh, wait.
But yeah, so that's just like, I do lectures on this piece because if you see the number of spirals that are happening in it, it's rather crazy. It just goes back in depth, dude. It's pretty nuts.
So Dragon Jim wants to know if you play.
Yes. So here's the thing. I started in Revised, right? Like so, and the Dark was out. Ice Age was just on the coming out, and I'm sorry, ending, and but you could still get it. You could still get Ice Age, and I just was playing it with my friends, and I was just like, man, I'd love to work for this game someday, and then sure enough, it happened, man.
And he taught me how to play.
That's right.
I pulled all of these out of packs. I had Rob sign all these. I pulled them all out of packs, like from back in the day.
Right.
Sorry for the stream. It's my stack of duels that I had signed by Rob last yesterday.
Very
But
cool.
like,
You don't need much information.
people are like,
to do it
how
really
much
quickly.
money?
Yeah, because I get
I'm an old guy
Alex
at this
Hawley
point, and I've played it for a long
Don't quite do
time.
it.
Exactly. And of course,
Horsley Hall, it's only like one.
the way it worked back then, I was a broke artist, but this worked out my advantage. But all my buddies that I played with, we didn't want anybody to have too much of an advantage. So there were 3 of us that played it. And if you bought a pack, you had to buy one. You couldn't just buy it for yourself.
You had to buy for everybody,
You had
so
to buy for
everybody-
everybody. So everybody got a pack.
That's awesome.
Yes, and I was always broke, so I didn't really buy a lot of packs. But they bought
But
all
you've
the
got
packs.
cards.
So it worked out for me.
So the
That's
other
fine.
question is, what's your favorite realm?
My favorite realm.
Yeah. What's
Do you
your
mean
favorite
like-
plane?
Oh God, I don't know.
It was funny. Who was it last night? It was like Ravnica.
That's yours, right?
I think it was his. It was like Ravnica. Hands down Ravnica.
Something else.
Yeah,
Or
probably.
no, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. It was Innistrad for him.
Innistrad.
Zombies, vampires, and
Yes,
murders.
yes. You probably have to go to.
Put all these
I mean, I did love Mirage. That's old. That's early stuff for sure.
That was
But
Donato's answer.
yeah, I love Mirage.
Which
Dude. That
set
was
all
great.
the rats? Yours
Yeah, it was
rats.
Mirage. It was Mirage Vision Weatherlight. There were also
Yeah.
a ton of rats.
Oh, yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
You made this deck with so many rats.
So here's a fun one. If you haven't really played much lately, right?
No, it's been a
No,
long
I
time.
haven't.
What's the
It's old stuff.
I haven't got space to do that.
Which one
Okay.
is it? Do-do-do-do. There's
Oh,
another.
wait. That thing.
The
Plague
plague
rat.
Oh, my God.
There it is. The Entomatics Plague Rats.
She played with that all the time. Yeah, it's good.
What's the discarded card rat? Discarded card makes a copy of the rat.
Because we get distortion from the perspective.
Right.
It's from the second
Try and
round.
look over it as much as
But there's a new
possible. I mean,
rat
I've never seen
card
one before.
that
That's the first time I've seen one.
you discard a card and it becomes a copy of it. So every time you make it, and the card has power and toughness equal to the number of
Breeding
that
rats.
card.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you discard a card. Oh, I've got 2/2/2 rats. You discard a card. I've got 3/3/3 rats. I've got 4/4/4. And with
Wow.
Madness, that mechanic where you play a card when you discard it.
Okay.
So you're playing the things you're discarding to the card. It was fun. It did pretty well, and it was a standard thing.
Wow.
What else we got floating around over there?
Oh, it's
see.
Let's see what's under there.
All right. So
Well, one has
my least favorite expansion was probably Mercadian Masks.
Really?
Oh, you guys
Good
played
stuff.
that
I
one.
did some okay stuff in there, but it was maybe my least favorite one. So the Corpse Auger, right?
I
so,
love that card, by the way.
So this is one of those rare examples where I got really busy. I didn't have a lot of time for Magic cards, but I loved it so much. I always wanted to keep my foot in, so I had a block of time. This never happens, but I contacted Jarvis at the time. I said, Jarvis, I got a block of time. You want me? Is there anything you need me to do? And he's like, dude, I just want you to do.
Keep talking.
I
I'm
just-
just
he's
gonna
like-
switch this.
He's like, I just want you to do. I think he said 4 or 5 imposing people who look like they're commanding something, and this was right before Commander. Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
They hadn't done it yet, but this is very rare. They pretty much said, do whatever you want as long as it's a single figure and it looks cool. So, of them. Corpse Auger was one of them. There's one they've never released. They did all the rest.
Anywhere else?
So Royal Trooper was one of them.
Royal Trooper?
Yes.
I don't even know what that is.
that-
okay.
that was
all
one
right.
of 'em.
Yeah, Battle Bond.
And I did the original Royal Trooper too, so that's kind of funny.
Oh,
That's pretty unusual. What was one of the other ones? Borderland Marauder. My version of that was
Yeah, I
also
remember that. I
one of
actually
those.
saw that and I'm like, you know what? I'll never play with that card, but it is neat art.
Yes.
Eventually, we'll get in one.
I would say too, just like as far as my scope, as far as growing as an artist, Pristine Angel. Because if you know the full piece, it's like twice as long. It goes way down below her feet, right? The actual.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that. Did you have that at Illuxcon last year, the year before?
No, it got sold a long time ago. Like I think when I did it almost. But if you see the big version of it, it goes all the way down right below her legs, and it's kind of this decision I made in my mind. I love working for Magic. I want to make sure they were happy. So I made a decision that anything within the box is theirs, and I will do exactly what they want in that box.
And if you know it's not going to be on the card, fuck it, I'm going to go to town.
And it was mine, and that was the thing.
That's pretty cool.
Everything outside of this box, they couldn't tell me what to do. Not that it was ever an issue, but I thought this is my realm to do what I want. I'd send them where the crop was going to be, and like, great, crop it there. Every single time they said we like the whole thing, and then it wound up on like binders and, like packaging.
and then they start
and,
doing
like,
full art
magazines,
cards.
yeah.
I'm kind of one of the guys who's the fault for that thing, right?
You did a Sarah Angel. You did at some point that was ridiculous.
The one I just did. So
Yeah,
the
recently.
Japanese promo only card.
All right, Japanese promo only. Let's see if it's in here. Arena, game night, arena new players. Ugh.
Really?
Let's try a bunch of them. Okay, that one's Donato.
Yeah.
And I'm a project manager.
That one's Donato.
This would have just been what, 2 years ago?
There it is.
one-
That's it.
That's the one? Oh,
Yeah, right
that's
there.
sexy.
That's
Yeah.
cool, dude. And that one's huge. I did that painting like. I mean, it was
what,
ginormous. For me,
36
it was
by
ginormous.
28 maybe.
The thing behind her head is like real gold leaf, so I gold leafed it. It was pretty cool, man.
That is pretty sexy.
Yeah, thank you. It was a joy to do that because you got to understand, I played in Revised and stuff, so I had, and
that
you
was-
always wanted that
That was a
card.
bomb. It hit the table and like
Yeah.
now it's
Exactly.
all right.
I know,
you
exactly. And so literally, it'd been a while since I've been able to do anything from them, and they write me and they're like, "Hey Scott, will you do something?" I'm like, and then they said, all they said was Sarah Angel. Yep. I didn't even stop. I was
Dragon
like,
Gem
yes.
says Sarah never looked so good.
Aww.
So this is the chat over if you want to see what people are saying about
Oh,
this
that's
stuff.
sweet. Dude. Thank you. But yes, that was a joy to do, man. Not only that, because it was a Japanese only promo, and you could only get that at the Magic Show in Japan, in Tokyo. That's the only place you could get that.
So
card.
I'm just wondering. Now we can look over here and see what it's selling for.
Oh, I doubt that much. Turned out to be more than we thought.
Yeah, it looks like it's. Well, okay, that was the Dominaria promos. No one is selling any copies of that. There's no price. Like you can see, there's no price history for that right there.
Yeah, because that's the only place you could get it. Never in
Yeah.
a set.
I'm
It's
going
it.
to Japan in November.
You can find it there for sure.
Yeah,
You
well,
can
we
find
have
it.
some. We have some with us.
Well, here's the thing. You
Yeah,
guys
you
know.
should stop
You
by the
guys,
show.
They're under the
That's very
table.
nice.
Just let me know, and I'll pull them
you
out.
guys know about artist proofs, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Did you get your 50? Or did you-
no, they don't exist for that card because it
Of
was a
that?
promo only.
Right.
Yes. So instead of that, they said, Scott, here's a stack of them. And I often don't even get my card because I get the proof, but unless I get it out of a pack, I don't get it unless I hunt it down. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, that was rad. So they brought me to Japan. That show in Tokyo was mind-bending. I couldn't believe it. It was the whole history of Magic,
Amazing.
and
really cool.
it was insane, dude. It was so sweet. Like they had, I think they had the Power, was it Power 9? Is that right? There, the
Power 9?
Yes, they had those there. They had the card that was the wedding invitation.
Remember that?
One of those was there.
Have you seen it? Any of his Christmas cards?
Yes, they
Yeah.
might have even had one there, and you couldn't take pictures. Nobody was allowed to take any shots. They went so far that they had commissioned two, I wish I could remember their names, but anime directors to make films for Magic that were only shown at that exhibit only if you walked in that door. They weren't going to be released online or anything like that. They went full tilt, man. It was great.
Crazy. Madame would like you to sign one. See, it's a staple. She's pulling apart her commander deck to have you sign that.
Nice.
Give it a second
By
before
the
we put back in.
way, look at his prints, folks. He has awesome prints. He has awesome original art as well. Like, I saw you guys' work.
Aw,
Yeah.
thanks, man.
This is her first Illuxcon, so
Yeah.
Oh, no way! Awesome.
Fantastic.
she's having.
Welcome.
You are having a blast, yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Wow.
Bourbon ferrying it.
She is being the bourbon fairy, yes. And you're welcome to some more bourbon if you'd like,
Nice.
because we have monopolized you. And
Here, I'll
you
take
know,
a tidbit in there.
by all
You can
means. And please.
I have. I just
Yes.
set myself.
What have we talked about? Oh, we got to talk about that artifact that's sitting right in front of you.
The coat of arms?
That's why I pulled it out. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that one.
Oh, my.
Yeah, we got to talk about
Dang
that.
it. I did not bring my warrior deck.
So if you didn't realize, by the way,
I have
that card's selling for anywhere between $10 to $15.
Really?
Yeah, it's a staple.
Which
in-
edition? Just
Any
all
edi-
any
yeah.
edition?
Yeah.
They reprinted that one
It's
a
a
lot.
And it's
Yeah.
still selling for that
It's
much
crazy.
money because it's so powerful in game. I mean,
Wow.
I have a bunch of stupid little elf tokens. Oh, guess what? They're all 5/5.
Well, the crazy thing about that one is that's the time period where you guys maybe heard the stories, but I was doing crazy things with 3D stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen my Incinerate.
I really, really, really wanted to buy you your Thunder Spirit.
Yes. Thank you.
But Kelly's like, man.
I know, I hear you, man. But so
I love the feather and the skulls.
Oh, dude. So right here tonight, over at the show, is my Incinerate, and the Incinerate is one where I actually, if you pull it
I
up,
think there is an Incinerate in there, just one, but we'll look at it.
We haven't come across it yet. Well, tell them what all was in that because the viewers may not know what all was in
Oh, we'll
that.
go
so
back.
that one's not mine.
Yeah,
we have to find
Talk
mine.
about that and then we'll talk about
Okay,
Incinerate.
so I was doing three-dimensional stuff. So basically, on this flag, right?
Yeah.
On this
Yeah,
flag,
there
everything on there is actually sculpted and sewn to the surface of the painting. So that skull is three-dimensional.
The red is like a tapestry fabric.
It's tapestry
adhered
fabric I
down.
glued
Holy
to it.
shit.
It's 3D art. The whole piece is like
There's
this thick.
there's feathers in it, which was his brother's little parrot, John Luke. His feathers. So those are green feathers on the sides.
But the coolest thing about it is in the sword of the goblin. They call them mogs back then or something.
Yeah, I
but
remember.
in the sword of that goblin
Moglings.
there's a light switch in there, and if you turn it on, it turns on a red light in the eyeball of the
Holy
skull.
shit.
It was crazy. It was nuts.
Battery
man.
powered?
Battery
Yeah.
powered.
People
Which
say
made
I'm
it.
bonkers when I do my art.
Yeah. Oh, that's just the tip of it. In my runes of protection, all of them had something weird like that. Every single one. I built a hourglass in one, so if you turn it upside down, sand would actually travel in the painting from one chamber to the
That's
other
crazy.
chamber.
That was the Rune of Protection blue.
Blue.
All right,
that's
I gotta look at that now. Rune of Protection Blue. Hold
Yeah.
on, let me switch this screen. Rune of Protection Blue.
There
Right
it is.
there.
So that's a real working hourglass. You turn
there-
it
Seriously, if you
upside-
turn the painting upside down,
Yeah.
the hourglass will work.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
right.
my
Nutty.
goodness.
Oh yeah, man.
And
That's
they're all
awesome.
me.
Oh yeah, they're almost all Theresa, some version of Theresa, right?
Well, younger.
Of course.
Hey.
But yeah,
Well, you know, you can't go wrong and then take a cue from Larry because they're all his wife.
that's
and-
exactly right, man. It works out just fine, dude. I love it. But
That's really cool. It's,
yeah.
it's an actual working hourglass.
all of them were like that, man.
Alright,
One
I
of
gotta
them-
find your incinerate now.
Oh yeah. So it would have been 5th edition, I think. Is where it first came out, I think. Yes.
This is the one. Wait, what?
Somebody told me it might have been 7th too, but I thought it. There it is. So
Which
that
one?
one's mine right there.
That one.
All right. So what a lot of you never noticed is up in that left corner, there's a candle. Do you see it?
Yep.
Yes.
And that's actually in the piece. So I cut out the flames. I made a shadow box that goes back about an inch or two.
But
I
the
put
shadow
a-
box is made out of metal.
Right. I put a real candle in there.
So there's actually a candle inside the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. It's here at the show.
I gotta stop and see that
Wow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
How did
that's
I
awesome.
miss that?
And the cool thing is that
Like,
I had to fireproof it, right? So there's a metal chimney in the back of the piece, literally. And so I actually wrote a note on the back of the painting, and I said, I, Scott Fischer, give Wizards of the Coast permission to light this candle on fire and shoot the art, just in case it burned up.
Right.
We were hoping it wasn't going
And he
to.
had a box of matches.
And there was a box of matches.
The
back
matches
there as
aren't there
well.
anymore,
all
but they
fell
were
off,
in
but-
here back
awesome.
there.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's cool.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
that is crazy.
That's really
Like,
cool, man.
crazy fantastic.
It was a wild time, man. It really was.
Is it Savra in there?
Savra's in there too. That's my sister, actually. So that's
Okay,
great.
so we gotta talk about that.
Yeah, man. My sister's really happy to be hanging out in that one.
Fun with your-
So the
that's-
elf shaman, the Golgari queen, is your sister?
Yes, pretty much. That's exactly how it goes down.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
funny as shit.
At least her head. I don't know that the rest
Yeah.
represent her quite that well, right? But that head is definitely my sister.
Wait a second. That's in my Get Run deck.
I don't know. Go look.
Go find it.
Too funny.
That's ridiculous.
Now, like, these are cards that play with
Yeah.
semi.
Oh, anything about anything?
Someone
spe-
talked about the
Be like,
Royal
hey,
Trooper looking
I've got-
awesome. Got it signed earlier. It's an
Yeah.
awesome piece. It's an awesome piece.
So anything
Trooper?
interesting you want to talk about that piece?
The Hellkite. Here's the thing. I've been a fantasy illustrator for a number of years. I've almost never done a dragon, right?
Really?
And technically it's a Hellkite, but for me it was like I did Siobhan Worm, right? Not
But
Siobhan
not
Dragon,
dragon, a Siobhan
but the
Worm,
Siobhan
right.
Worm, right? And so for me that's really the closest I got, and it did wind up in the dragon deck, and it's called a dragon even though it's a Hellkite. But still, I was
It's
like,
creature type dragon, damn it.
thank you, exactly. So that's my dragon.
It
damn
is tribal dragon.
Exactly. And then later on, I got to do a dragon for Dungeon Dragon, so all was well.
cool.
But
We actually have Jeff Easley on camera talking about the first dragon he ever drew or ever actually painted was the one on the cover of the player's manual.
what?
That was yeah, like the first and he's like, yeah, you know, it's not very good. And if I had to do it today, I wouldn't do all this. Dude, relax. Everybody knows the dragon on the cover of the player's hand. Sorry, but they just do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my God, you got some portal in here.
Yeah.
All right, so Withering Gaze, you know.
I made an
Yeah.
angel deck.
Anything interesting about that?
Yeah, so I was still doing kind of 3D stuff, and it's not that
I've
exciting
seen
compared to
that
what we've talked about, but those are actual, like, oh, that's not my version.
Oh,
We got
sorry,
another
sorry,
version.
sorry.
So we got the portal version,
Portal.
so you got to go back to that dude there.
Portal. There we go.
Yes.
There you
Ah.
So those leaves
were
that
the
are on
creepy
there.
guy for a while, huh?
Yeah.
go. Yeah, he was.
Those leaves on there are glued to the surface, so they're actual, well, they're
Those are-
fake leaves,
They're
but
like
they're
the
glued
silk,
to the surface.
silk leaves, like you get the
that's
silk
really
flower
cool.
section.
Oh man, if you look at like malignant growth,
That's probably, yeah, I remember that.
Got it.
I think it's in a deck, and I didn't pull out of the deck to make it.
dude, you have no idea how disgusting that is. This is
Okay.
why I got known as the gross guy.
All right, tell me.
That stuff growing on him, I went out to my yard, I found the grossest shit I could find. And I glued it to the surface and crushed paint in it. There's moss in
Modeling
there. there's
medium,
dirt,
gel medium
there's
mixed
just
in.
you might get a tetanus shot if you have to do that. Here's the thing with that one though, like this was a
So
quick
how
lesson.
archival is that?
No,
Well, that's a
it can't
good
be
question,
very
right?
quick.
I sold it ages
Like,
ago.
how does it hold up?
Is it like an Amstel Kiefer painting that stuff is falling off the surface of it? But nobody spent $1 million on it, so that's good.
And I'm sitting here, you know, what I do for a living. I'm like, oh, the liability attached to that. Like, you know, you're spreading disease and germs.
Oh,
and
could
the
you
family gets
imagine?
sick. And,
But here's the lesson with this one. Maybe I don't know if you can relate to this, but I was at a convention. This was early in my career. I mean, I don't think it's my best piece even back then. But somebody came up to my table and they're like, Scott, dude, that card is amazing. I love it. It's so great. And I'm like, really? Great. Thanks, man. And he's like, dude, I have binders of that. This is a dude who loved Malignant Growth. He's got binders of it. And I'm like, man, it means a lot to me that you like the art that much. And he's like, oh, no, the art's okay.
He just
You
liked
like
playing
the
the card and
card.
the value.
Exactly. And that was the quickest lesson in, right, man. And I never forgot that. Always.
I'm just curious now. Let's see. Yeah, it's selling for what, 38 cents.
There you go. I have no idea if that's good or bad. I'm assuming that's not good.
For a Mirage card that doesn't see much play, that's perfectly fine because it's usually a penny.
All right. Very good, man.
Yes, I did get my egg.
And if you look at Pox,
Yes.
my Pox, which would have been 5th edition.
Yeah, I think
or-
there is a Pox in there somewhere for you to sign. But
No?
no, but
No.
Well, not small pox, regular pox.
oh,
Pox.
sorry. Regular Pox. That one.
No.
No, but that's the card.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we get the version.
Got it.
And it would be what's your edition? 5th edition?
5th, I think.
There it is. Yep. That looks a lot like
Oh, it's
certain
so
other
gross.
things.
And it's
Exactly.
him, a younger version of him.
Dude, this one is so gross. Like, those,
Did you put like a stuffed cat?
Yeah, that
Please
would
tell
have
me
been
there's
great.
a stuffed
Oh
cat.
yeah, there's real cat fur in it. No. But those sores, I built them up in modeling paste, so they're little craters on the painting of the skin. Then I filled them with stained glass paint, which is like this goopy paint, and it dripped down all shiny like blood. It is disgusting, which makes you understand why I got known as the gross
I
guy.
see exactly why you got known as the
I
gross
like
guy
the,
for much credit.
how it has kind of the sad clown mustache.
Exactly. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like,
Hilarious, man. Oh my god. And you know,
it's like, haha.
I do not love that painting. You know, that's an old one, man.
Ooh, Maloku.
Yes. Still
So
one of my favorites.
I actually use that in a blue deck. I want to bounce.
Nice.
So whenever I want to bounce lands, whenever I want to do landfall over and over again, there it is.
Absolutely one
So,
of
by the
my
way-
favorite of them.
The combo. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The combo with that is, what is it? Which elemental? Torrent elemental? Which one do I use? Oh, god damn it.
DM.
Nope, it's not Torrent elemental.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We've got seats.
I changed it. I changed it.
Can't do it.
Yeah. Shit. Royal element, there it is. So, okay, the mechanics of that with Maloku.
Yes?
Whenever a land enters the battlefield under my control, I take a creature. I have Maloku in play, I have that in play. I bounce a land, I play my land for turn, then I play another land, I take 2 creatures. Next turn, I bounce a land, play my land for turn, another land, take 2 more creatures.
What?
So that with Maloku is a lovely little combo.
Whoa.
Well, we're always fond of Goblin Welder. That's another card we
Goblin
always liked.
Welder, yep. I always did like the Goblin
Did I put one
Welder.
in there? I think I put
Haven't
a goblin.
seen
I don't
one
know.
yet.
Oh,
I-
you know what? It's in one of the decks. If I'll find it later. I don't want to.
I was thrilled
I'm
they-
monopolizing enough of your time.
They let him back out lately. And, they re-released him, and that was fascinating for me.
I like
loved
how
it.
you said they let him back
They
out.
let him back out. They
Is that what you're
released.
exploring?
Broken in certain ways. See if I can find it real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to truck
Yeah. It's extremely rich.
And of course, it's in like the one deck that I can't find.
Of course.
There it is, Saheeli. It's in Saheeli.
Did they ever redo him? I think they might have. Did they? Or
Yeah, they put him in a commander deck.
but they reused my art on that, right? I don't know if they ever
Yes,
redid
they
the art.
did, sir.
All right.
Which is this?
Goblin Welder.
Oh, yeah. That guy.
Yeah.
Dragon Jim
yeah.
has a question for you. Do you have a favorite planeswalker?
Kiora.
Do you remember last
he
year?
did the-
You signed my deck box, and all 4 Kioras in that deck.
Yes. There's no question for me. Also, as you remember from last year, but I got to totally create that character. I concepted her. So
Really? You
it's
concepted
very
Kiora?
rare.
Wow.
Normally, these things are
That's
concepted
awesome.
out, and they're already figured out before I actually get to draw them. But that was
That's
one I
cool
got
as
to.
shit.
And then when they did the little pop bobblehead of her, or whatever, they did the little pop figures. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about with the big heads. They did one of her.
Yeah.
There's a Funko Kiora.
We were walking through
All right,
Barnes
now I
and
gotta
Noble.
find
I'm
I
like,
feel like we
Wait.
now need one.
Oh my
pretty
god.
cool.
Wait.
Oh
Do they
yeah.
have like the other
There it is.
Oh my god, that's
Oh my
ridiculous.
God.
So that,
That
dude,
is
I,
utterly ridiculous.
and they don't tell me they do this stuff. I'm just walking through a toy store. I'm like, oh my god, that's my Kiora.
There it
That's
is. There's a
crazy,
Funko
dude. That's
Kiora.
amazing. So
Pre-owned, $740 on eBay.
there you go.
And so let me bring back our lovely friend, the Goblin Welder. So yeah, they let him back out to play. Anything interesting about that? Is that in UA 3D?
It is in no way 3D, though it was of that era. But I did love that painting, and I just love the idea of him destroying something to fix something, because that's sort of what I do all the time, right? But I do really have a fondness for that. And you know, we sold these things ages ago. We didn't care. We didn't track where they went. And I sold it when it came out. And I do remember, like, maybe a Dragon Con 5 years ago, a guy comes up with the phone and goes, I got this. Boom. And it's that. And I'm like, whoa, you have the welder? That's awesome, dude.
That is really cool. When things come home to roost, you're like, oh, all right. And the person appreciates you, which is even better.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are some people that they don't want anybody to know they have it. It's wrapped in paper. It's in a humidity-controlled place somewhere.
Oh,
and
yeah.
nobody's going to fucking see it for 20 years.
Exactly.
Until the value increases.
Exactly.
And that's really annoying.
I know,
As
I
both,
get it.
You know, as someone who loves the game and collects it, and for an artist, that's got to be, and nobody gets to see it except on the cards. Like, nobody
Yeah.
can actually see the real piece.
Right, but it really was the Wild West. We didn't track who was buying this stuff or where it was going. At least I didn't. Yeah, I guess you're right. We don't really either. I gotta say, but I didn't do as many of them. But back then, of course, it was like we didn't know. They just vanished, dude, into the ethers.
Jeff Menge's Urza's Chalice.
Yes.
A friend of mine at a random party about 2 months ago, she's like, I have this piece. I think it's a Magic card. I bought it for like $100. Is it worth anything? And I helped her sell it on MTG Art Market for like $5,000.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And you know,
Not
it's
a
like-
bad return, man.
Not a
Not
bad
a bad
return.
return, dude. They made
So-
some good
Better
investments
than
on
the
that
stock
stuff.
market.
It was
And
certainly.
but she had no idea what she had. She's like, I think it's a card in that Magic game.
Oh yeah. It's crazy,
We'll do
man.
it by the same measure. That obviously, is art that gets lost. I mean, I think I told you this today that I bought a painting of someone I collected, not magic art, and I bought it off eBay because the guy thought it was a print. And it was sort of sold frame. And I was thinking, that's a bit odd. It's this guy Angus McBride. He did a lot of, he did the Midland
Yeah, sure.
IC
yeah.
covers. He did all the Osprey Games covers.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I watched him on eBay.
Yeah.
And this came up and someone was selling it as a print. I was thinking, I've seen his prints because Osprey did do printed stuff.
Yep.
This is not
Not
the
the
same.
print.
This is not
And
the
somebody
same
picked it up for like
size.
$100 or something.
It's too big.
Yeah.
And it was framed.
Yeah.
And he was selling it for like $30.
Yes.
So I thought, well, I'll put a bid on it.
Uh-huh.
And I got it for $30.
And you bought your own original back for
I got
$30.
it home. And it was one of the plates from one of the Osprey military books. I can't forget exactly which one it was. I was nice and I had the book.
That's
And I got
crazy.
it to mine. I thought, this is a really dirty glass and the frame. And I think, well, I'm looking at it. And then I started looking at the frame fell apart. And
Yes.
I went,
Okay.
no, that's an original painting.
Wow.
It's on like 24 inches by 16 inch painting. Yeah, and I got
Amazing.
it for $30.
Amazing.
That's freaking awesome, man.
It happens.
Yeah. I did say, have you got any more?
Hey, right, exactly. Exactly.
I wanted to identify who was actually talking. There we go. There's a Ralph.
There's a human.
Yeah, I'm putting him from the side again. But I really enjoy what you're saying. It's quite fascinating what you're talking about.
Well, you know, we all have our own little trails through it, right? Our own little journeys that happen, you
Yours is
know?
more interesting than mine.
I don't know. I remember Kev Walker
I'm
at
just
some of
going to
the
continue to
early...
do Bourbon Fairies. If either of you would like some more, by all means.
I remember Kev Walker and I adore Kev Walker's work, man. His stuff is amazing, and he did these tiny little paintings that I remember he'd be selling them for nothing at like New York, you know, at the Armory in New York at those early conventions, and I was
But it
like,
was Kev Walker that got me working.
is that who got you in?
Yes, because I met Kev Walker because some of my very early illustration work was actually with Games Workshop.
Yes, of
Freelancing
course.
with Games
Sure.
Workshop. And they had their games days, events, things like that.
Yes.
I got invited to.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, it was great because that was the first time I ever met another artist who was trying to do the same thing. 'Cause,
Right.
You know, we lived in isolation, it was pre-internet days.
Sure.
So I went to one of these games days, met Kev Walker. It turned out he lived down the road from me. He lives about 30 miles down the road from me.
Yep.
And he was saying, oh, you really want to get to this Magic Gathering? It's great. You could, you know, they pay really well. They pay like, you know, the exchange rate time, you say,
Yeah.
it was like 650 quid a card.
Yeah.
I could do it in half a day.
Yes.
And I was like,
That's the other thing, he's
I mean,
fast.
You know, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, the reason you should do it. And I was like, well, you know, it sounds quite good to me. He said, I'll recommend you. And he was actually Kevin who recommended me.
That got you in?
That's how I got my first work on Magic.
Wow.
That's how it works, man. It's usually the back door that gets you in
Of
someplace.
course.
You know what I mean? Always. And that was my case with D. Alexander Gregory. He was already working for him. He was one of the last guys to get in on royalty, though. I don't know what that set was, but he was the last one. And I remember the first set I got in was like no royalties, and that was the end of the royalty thing. But
So we got a question for both of you, by the way.
Yeah.
Is there a particular card you'd like to redo now for any reason?
Probably most of them.
there's a lot,
Like even
man.
better. It's like big so.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of them I'd like to redo.
Anything stick out?
I mean, that's one thing I would say about that. I'm not knocking the fact. I mean, I really appreciate the fact I got work on Magic. But in some ways, I think I got work on Magic before. In some ways, I'm really good enough.
I
to work
agree.
on Magic.
I agree. Me too.
You know, I got work on Magic before I got work on Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure.
All right, but here's the point, right? You guys got work at about the same time everybody else who was doing things just like you got that same work.
I guess.
You know, so it wasn't that anybody was heading, okay, maybe Donato, but like there were some people that were just like, okay, right?
Right.
But you guys all were sort of on a par. It wasn't anybody was blowing anybody out of the water, really. I mean,
Would we be
at least-
considered? Somebody told me, and I didn't realize this, that there's old school, right? You're going to Jeff Mingus, some of the early artists, that kind of stuff, and then I'm mid school, as I understand it, right?
You guys are mid-school.
We're mid school. Are you mid school?
Kamigawa was my first set, so I guess that's when
Kamigawa. Okay, so I came in a little bit before that, but
Like
you know,
2 years, 3 years.
yeah. Also, one of my favorite sets, though, Kamigawa, man. Oh my God, that
So
was amazing.
the reason it was the biggest commercial success, and I've had this discussion with a lot of players,
Yep.
was
Kamigawa was
not.
not no.
And the reason was they made it really, it was traditionally true to, Asian myths. And what the players wanted was something that was American Asian myths.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So when they started actually using words like kitsune and
Yes.
I know, but,
Uh,
but it was a bunch of,
Obviously.
Yeah.
It was another barrier for people to get through
Yeah.
before they could get access. Yeah.
So we're doing a documentary on Magic the Gathering,
Yes.
so the next one, and I want to have this discussion with Peter Atkinson about it, saying, you wanted it, and we've had a brief discussion. He wanted it to be very true to Asian myths.
Yes.
And the American audience wanted it to be American Asian myths.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get it. But man, that was so great to work
And
on.
I agree, Dragon Gem, by the way. Yes, I would like to see more traditional stuff. I want to see some crazy ass Indian myths. Like, I want to see some like Shiva
Go
and
there.
Vishnu.
It'd be amazing.
Well, I think they kind of went there with cons, but not as far as they could have gone.
But at the same token, what I quite like about the fantasy sort of genre is that you take real world influences and then you exaggerate them and then amplify them. And
Sure.
maybe that's,
I mean, I really
that's
dug on
the point.
Amonkhet.
I think it's obviously a rich background to come from that sort of Asian culture. But the things you maybe take it and then twist it and amplify
And
it.
try not to be, we're not appropriating it. We're paying homage to it.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, Amonkhet was great. I don't know. Did you guys do any cards in Amonkhet? It's the Egyptian set.
Right. Right.
And
No.
we're going back to Theros. So I don't know if you guys are under NDA or anything. Any new Theros block cards?
Oh, I wish we could give you the dirt. I mean, I don't do a lot, but I'll just say I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
anything.
don't break
I'm
your
just
NDA.
not gonna say anything.
Enough said.
Yes. I'm just excited. That's all I'm gonna say is I'm excited. It's good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see the Narva proofs.
I'm excited.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Go enjoy the thing. We've
Okay,
held you
man.
up for long. Thank you very much.
pleasure.
I really, really appreciate it.
Of course.
I really enjoyed this. I had to say, so I hung around. It was great.
Oh yeah, man.
So
I
this
want to hear
happens
your
every
story
last
too.
year.
Yeah.
I had Donato and Larry Elmore sitting next to each other, fanboying over each other
Oh,
for half an
yeah.
hour. It was just crazy. People are saying thanks, so
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Right on.
thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You got it, guys.
Woo. Enjoy yourselves.
Yep.
No worries. I think we're going to play a game of Magic while we wait for more artists to come by. So let's do that. Dragon Gem, we're going to do our best to have as many artists as we can come by tonight. So yeah. What shall we play? Oh wait, I got to put my Goblin Welder back in Sahili. I love seeing where people color in the art now, particularly, hey look, Sahili's 8, Sahili is pretty much Indian. Right? It's a wonderful thing. Man, I am adding that stack to all of my signed cards, so I'm very excited. Let's play a Commander game. Grab a deck and off we go. Is there anything you guys want to see? What's that? Yeah, just take one. Oh, for me, for legally things? Yeah, I'll give you one. For legally things? I know. Let me put this in here, and that way I won't lose it.
Yeah, I mean, like, what?
All right.